podcast excellence since 2005. This is the King of Podcasts radio network, kingofpodcasts.com.
Netflix and WWE get together to talk about the rollout of Monday Night Raw. And there's some things the toxic wrestling fandom is not going to like about it.
Woo! Hey, this is the Nature Boy Rick Flair. And believe it or not, whether you like it or don't like it, learn to love it. Because you have to listen to Wrestling is Real. It is the best thing going today. Woo!
The worldwide leader of podcasting excellence, the King of Podcasts Radio Network proudly presents The Wrestling is Real podcast, because wrestling needs us.
I'm not going to let go of the toxic wrestling fandom talk. I'm not. I don't care if I lost about 100 followers on Twitter. For me, that's quite a bit because I had 2,600, but now it's down to 2,513. Look, it's fine. I mean, really, doesn't make a difference to me. If people are listening in and you get a response out of it, that's fine with me. I am okay with that. But since somewhere in the middle of this year, the toxicity has gotten to a fever pitch, and there's a lot of reasons why. Good wrestling on both promotions for WWE in their respect and AEW, if they get their shit together, both of them, this all tamps down. And one of the things they need to make sure to do is to quit listening to the fans. I'm telling you, that's what it is. They need to go and start trusting their own judgment in-house and start seeing that, you know what? We're going to go ahead and try something out. We're going to take a chance on certain storylines, on certain stars. If they don't do well, we release them. We let them go. If the storyline is not working, we cut and go. Cut and run. Because they need to do that. I hope they do. Listen, tonight, finally seeing on Dynamite, the Death Riders finally get their just due from the likes of Orange Cassidy and Hangman Adam Page and Jay White. Yeah. 4-way match for the AEW World title at World's End. Good. Let's get moving off this Death Riders thing. It sucks. Let's move along with Swerve Strickland and whatever the Hurt Syndicate is doing right now and trying to stir everything up, whether it's Swerve Strickland or it's Max Caster or whoever else is on the roster they want to go ahead and go after. Let's start moving somewhere. If the storylines are not working, if it's starting to fail, let's move along. Okay? Chris Jericho being champion, let's move along with this too. Let's get off the other intangible shit that we don't need to be worrying about, okay? All this other stuff that goes on. And of course, the press, the wrestling dirt sheets, and the wrestling media have to go in along and start adding more fuel to the fire because, you know, they got to go talk about the fact that, oh, well, now Ryan Nemeth is starting talking about stuff that AEW had him do for CM Punk. And as I said on the show this past Sunday night or Saturday night, recapping Survivor Series, I said it, CM Punk, I wish he never came back to the companies. I wish he never came to WWE and AEW because I think he honestly created a cancer on both ends. I really do. And it was 1 year ago almost to where that happened. Once again, we didn't need this kind of stuff to go on, but the fans can't help themselves. They feel like they're their own, you know, into it among themselves and they can just go ahead and start being belligerent. Fine. Well, I'm going to go ahead and start calling it out on both sides. I will play referee here, and I will go ahead and say something about that because it needs to be said. Once there are just certain times that I see it and I just keep looking across, it's unavoidable. Okay, I'm not trying to go ahead and unfollow everything, and there's ways I can't do it. Do you understand? There is on X 2 columns that you could be watching and learning from, right? You can see a lot of things from. There is following, who are the people that I am following, and then the For You page, which is like the TikTok kind of version. And what happens is that For You page, I still look at because there's certain things that I will find out and learn that are pertaining to what I'm interested in. And so since I have so many wrestling things that I follow along with and I engage with on a regular basis, X realizes, oh, I should know about this. So I get to see every bashing piece of, you know, comment that's out there on social media that starts off on X because that is the most toxic area of it, it's not the platform that's toxic. It's the people that are on there that are toxic, because they are keyboard warriors to the max that could never say some of the stuff to the wrestlers that they could do if they were in front of them without fear of being beat up. And I'm talking about a lot of the podcasters, many of them, including myself. You think you can go and say some of the shit that you say in front of the male or women wrestlers of the roster? And you think they're not going to, if you had them confront you and they felt like taking a punch at you, they wouldn't knock you out? Absolutely they would. I know better not to go and say something like that. The thing is, as I said, one of the radio people that I followed along with, and I really do herald, one of the people I really do, it's a role model of mine for many years, was Tom Likas. And one of the things I always kept hearing from him, and I take this still as a rule today, whatever I say on this program, whatever I say on all my podcasts that I do, whether it's here, on my other 3 podcasts, or on the networks that I work on full time, I am not going to have to say anything that I'm going to apologize for. Ariel Helwani had to apologize this week. I'm not doing that, because I am being careful about what I'm saying so that I never need to apologize. Listen, cancel culture, yeah, there's people that unfortunately get caught up in that, and it sucks. It's not so much thinking anymore now. Obviously, people are starting to realize it's bullshit, cut through it. But the other thing, too, is that I am not trying to worry about the feelings that people are being felt by, because I'm not trying to play in that part. Okay? I don't have a personal vendetta against some company because, they got limited, or they got refused or restricted access. I don't care about that, because that's the part. Some of you out there really believe that the real thing for you, that you podcasters out there, the access you're supposed to get to the wrestling companies. Well, you're still fans. At the end of the day, you're still fans. So if the companies choose not to give you that much access, or you abuse the privilege of that access, yeah, you don't get to go in. Me, I don't care. I know what I am. I'm a wrestling fan. I'm also a media expert, because I've been in media for 30 plus years. And so I understand where a lot of things are going on here, which is why I'm going to go ahead and segue into yesterday, where Netflix and WWE were together, and they decided to go and bring up what's going to be happening when it comes to the rollout of Monday Night Raw on Netflix January 6th. So there's roughly 30 days out, a little more than 30 days out, but they wanted to go ahead and start talking about that now. So I'm going to take it from Deadline. Going to be very comprehensive here, now, because it's very media oriented, but anything that might not be able to be completely understood by the fan base, I will go ahead and reference here, and I will explain it for you. So Rosie Cordero writes about this at WWE and Netflix executives talking about the 2025 Raw rollout, addressing potential streaming issues and expansion plans. So they talked all about this. This is WWE publicly speaking about, in a roundtable discussion, about what's going to be coming from Netflix and WWE with their plans, because of the fact that back in June, they signed a $500 million year deal, right? So there's a lot of money being put on the line here. And now we're going to show. Netflix is putting in $1 billion for the next 5 years. Or, yeah, something like that, right? And the thing is that they're going to put this in here. I need to go make sure to get the exact number right, because if I get this, I want to make sure I did not overgo. But here's the thing. Yes, $5 billion, 10-year commitment. Right. $5 billion in a 10-year commitment, which, of course, 5 years, but then can roll over for another 5 years. But right now, basically $1 billion a year they're getting right now for this. And here's what we got. So Monday Night Raw will be pivoting from linear to streaming on January 6th, live from Los Angeles at the Intuit Dome. That's the home of the LA Clippers arena. So Netflix headquarters, they opened to the public, and speaking on the panel, this roundtable discussion, Michael Cole moderated. They were joined by the chief content officer of Netflix, Bella Bajaria, the vice president of nonfiction series and sports, Brandon Reig. Probably would have been a part of things like the Logan Paul, to be the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight. Why do I keep saying Logan Paul? Also, Nick Khan and Triple H were on the panel as well, speaking on behalf of WWE, right? Now, again, just to make sure that the Netflix deal that we already know is being made available for Raw to be in the US, Canada, UK, and Latin America. They're going to have expansion to premium live events. And they also are going to be having the rights to stream specials like WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and Royal Rumble, and weekly shows Raw, SmackDown, NXT outside the United States. So it's not, remember, Peacock still has a deal for North America, but overseas, you're going to see a lot of these shows now on Netflix. You're going to get Raw, NXT, SmackDown, and the pay-per-views all overseas. And then whatever happens in 2026 with the Peacock deal, we'll see what they do with that. And if Netflix decided to go and take that as well, how it works out. So Netflix and the streaming model by going into business with Netflix, Triple H says that as soon as the conversation happened and the first time streaming was brought up, it was like, oh my God, that's a game changer for us. Not only because of the environment, like the reach and how much they can expand our base, but look at the shows that they do. Look at the things that they do and the freedom that they have within that. It's a game changer for us. We're going to get through some of this fluff, the happy talk here, to get to the real things here. Nick Khan says that while there were things that are going to be changing, other things will stay the same, and this is going to piss off fans. It's already started. Quote, we're not changing the rating of our programming. So there's some online chatter about, it's going to be X-rated for us old folks, X-rated. That's definitely not happening. It's family-friendly, multi-generational, advertiser-friendly programming. It's going to stay that way. I would look for more global flair, as especially the relationship continues to develop. Countries outside of the U.S. are as important to the U.S. as the United States is. So we have certain targeted countries that are priorities for Netflix. They're priorities for us. You're going to see more of that. I think that's the way you're going to see a bit of a difference. So international audiences will be more important to the way that Netflix is going to be positioning Monday Night Raw. It will not be to the USA audience, which is predominantly North American. The other question is, will the show be made available live? Right? I mean, people will probably be able to watch it live as it happens, wherever they are. So if they want to catch it at that hour, they can. Instead of where they might have had to watch it at a certain hour, same day tape delay, or next day, or whatever it was, whenever they would get the show. But all these markets will be able to have the option to watch it live. That's what it looks like right here. Obviously, live streaming this program and making it available on demand. Now, moving along with Nick Khan, there have been several live events we already know so far that Netflix has already done leading up to this. First was the Chris Rock comedy special, March 2023, the roast of Tom Brady, and the Jake Paul-Mike Tyson fight last month. That's what they've done live so far. Bajaria discussed the matter about where there were technical issues like excessive buffering and the loss of the signal completely during the Jake Paul-Mike Tyson fight. Quote, whenever we do live events, we wanted to go smoothly for every single one of our members. That's really important. Also, to put it in perspective, it was 65 million concurrent streams, right? It was a very successful night. A lot of people watched. The scale was very big, which is great. There's a lot of interest in it. And adding as well, we expected a big number for sure. It was a big number, but again, you don't know. You can't learn these things until you do them and you take a big swing. Our teams and our engineers are amazing, yada, yada, yada. And then Paul, Triple H-esque, makes a point after this saying that, I'll just say, if it blinks a couple of times and we do 60 million, I'm good with that. Ha 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 ha. Now, the ratings have the potential to go even higher for, say, a WrestleMania special with Netflix making it more accessible globally. Notice right here that it's really more importantly to talk about the international reach and scope of WWE programming. They're not even talking about Raw right now. Like the part about Raw, that's kind of like not the main focus here, which is quite interesting right now. But you would think that was the main focus of this because that is the weekly program that has to be going out live. And what kind of an audience are you going to be able to get? Now, the specials, yes. And the overall audience will be able to get, if they're looking at it from an international standpoint, yeah, that's actually going to probably look good for them if they see the numbers coming on their end and they can see international audiences coming in. So they'll finally get a good look at the combined audience. So does it mean that Netflix doesn't necessarily look at North American audiences like Canada or US as important? That it's just part of the demographic. It's just part of a percentage. It's not a major percentage. That's the part I'm really kind of curious about. And if it's an international audience watching the show, the question is, well, what will be a bigger audience that we're going to see cumulatively what is the aggregate number that we're looking at right now that's expected to be the big deal? 10 million worldwide? Could that be it? I mean, look, for sports broadcasts, you could obviously see like 40, 50, 100 million worldwide for the Super Bowl. And that's not, I mean, counting what's the Super Bowl going on out across the pond everywhere else. Like, Super Bowl always gets over 100 million viewers. That's no doubt. Can't expect that. We're not going to expect half. We're not going to expect a quarter. So let's say if Netflix is accustomed to getting, let's say, roughly 10 million viewers on average every Monday night to their platform. We don't need to think about any advertising within it, what they're going to be doing within. Okay. We don't know yet. And then Rosa Cordero goes on and talks about the fact that, yes, WWE has a massive fan base outside the U.S. and Latin America, India, and Japan, to name a few. And there was buzz during lunch while chatting with fellow journalists, WWE superstars, and executives that the long-discussed match between The Rock and Roman Reigns is on deck, but nobody would confirm it on record. But that's, again, buzz. Nobody's making any confirmation. And as far as we know, for sure, it's not happening this WrestleMania. We don't know if it's going to happen after that. If it was going to happen at all, having it at WrestleMania in Vegas was a no-brainer. And it would have worked really well. But, I mean, The Rock probably has other things that he has. We don't know what, I don't know, necessarily what he has right now that he's working on that would allow him to, that he would be able to break away to be able to go and do wrestling for WrestleMania season anyways. That's the part we don't know yet. So Netflix and WWE have had ongoing conversations about potential IP expansion and opportunities for wrestlers and those who love them. Specifically, they're passionate celebrity fans, which are people like Bad Bunny, Travis Scott, and Jelly Roll. Triple H shared that there will be more celebrity involvement on Raw, a perfect situation for at least one of the three previously mentioned with major wrestling ambitions. Now, here's the thing, too. Of course, the toxic wrestling fandom out there, they were always upset when they did the special guest Raws, right? When they had the celebrities that would come on board and be a part, and not necessarily be a part of it. Now, we know that in the Triple H era, when Bad Bunny's been involved, when Logan Paul's been involved, they've been directly involved, and they've done very well with it. So Jelly Roll's one, and he's still raving about wrestling. Triple H says that every time I see him, he says the same thing. I got another 100 pounds to go, baby. I'm doing a match with you guys. And right now, Jelly Roll's only lost 120 pounds. I didn't realize he was losing so much weight, but that's good for him. Just for the health reasons. John Cena looks towards spending 2025 on his farewell tour, retiring with the company, and his final appearance at WrestleMania in April. And he's now secured a new film project currently in development at Netflix. Okay, good for him. John Cena is going to keep working at work. I mean, I don't even think it would have mattered if John Cena was attached to WWE. It's just the fact that John Cena is a git. He's done quite a bit of movies right now. And, he's worked on quite a few things in terms of streaming when it comes to Max, or he's doing fine. Max and I believe Amazon Prime, right? So he's doing okay. Now, Bahari also makes mention of that, chief content officer, quote, "We are really looking forward to doing documentaries and taking some of the company's greatest history and characters and doing that on the unscripted and scripted side. Again, we have so many great stars that come from the WWE that we have a great relationship on the TV and movie side. We're about to do a movie with our very own John Cena. It's a really great comedy called Little Brother, and Eric Andre will be co-starring with him. And we know that the Peacock deal is due to end in 2026, that Netflix might, depending on everything goes in the first couple of years, the performance for Netflix and what they get with the WWE programming, if the branding does well for them, then 2026 comes around, Netflix will then offer to take on all the rating specials and the pay-per-views and take it all for North America. And that's it. Which means SmackDown will still be relegated to the USA Network coming up, and a 5-year deal following the conclusion of the Fox deal, as we already know, is already done. So CW, USA, but then most of the content will be Netflix. And Nick Khan says that Peacock is an incumbent partner. We're always going to have respect to their rights and relationships that we have there. So we'll have those conversations with them in 2025, see what shakes up. So next year, we're going to start hearing negotiations. And we'll see if Peacock decides to continue to use the WWE Network here. So then if they don't, Netflix is going to have to create a wing on Netflix to provide the WWE Network. or at least the version of it. I don't know how they're going to be able to, I mean, if that's going to be the next thing they're going to do, that's a major investment. They're going to basically be completely in bed with them now. They're basically halfway in there already. So for Netflix to get live content like this and to get this branded content like this is a big deal for Netflix to do that. They've already done things with their own intellectual property, but it's not much they were going to decide to go ahead and buy in to some other company and bring them in. It's still quite new for them. And again, for them to have any kind of a sports franchise or a sports league, now that they have this, I mean, what else comes up for them? Now, one of the things they're doing right now, which I noticed, and they haven't talked much about it, but Netflix is offering $6.99 per month deal right now for ad-supported subscriptions on Netflix. Okay. That's a little more reasonable. The same price as Peacock, or the ad-free version of Peacock. So to offer that price, and they get in, I don't know how long that deal's supposed to be here and how long it does until it expires. But if they're doing that right now, people can go and lock in that price. Okay, that's probably a reasonable deal for people to buy Raw and the other programming. Now, the other thing too is that the Netflix buy for North America, I don't know how much that really much is for that yet. If Peacock drops the WWE programming and it moves to Netflix, someone like me, I'll buy Netflix. Drop Peacock, buy Netflix, done. The other part you have to consider too is that Max will soon enough have AEW programming there, which means you'll be able to watch Dynamite, Collision, and the pay-per-views on a premium for the pay-per-views as well. But that's a cost right there. You got to ask yourself, in the streaming audience, how many wrestling fans are willing to go and spend, $15, $20 a month guaranteed on both streaming services, whether you want to ad support it or not. And then add the extra money for the pay-per-views. And the other part too is that when it comes to Netflix, after 2026, the question is, will Netflix look at something where are they going to continue to go and have pay-per-views like the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight, which if Jake Paul, Mike Tyson wanted to go on and do a traditional pay-per-view streaming or pay-per-view broadcast, they could have made it for like $59, $69. They could have easily done that, put it on the Zone, no problem for them. Would have made big bucks. But they didn't. And they could have. And will WWE, at some point, when we get to that point, if there's a struggle with WWE right now, going with Monday Night Raw over to Netflix, and if they, if the fan base or the newer fan base gets a bit exhausted or fatigued by the amount of content they've already done, scripted and unscripted already. Remember, we have so much that's being done that Peacock already did, that WWE has done in the past, plus what A&E's been doing for the last couple of years with their programming on Sunday nights. Like, there's a lot out there. There's a lot about the WWE right out there already. I don't know how many more stories can be told or retold that people are just going to get a little bit tired of. That's the other part you got to think about too. I don't know. I mean, I didn't hear anything about them doing anything about, doing more programming outside of that, like, other additional programs, other creative content. I don't know. Whether it's reality shows or whether it's, other shows that kind of stretch out outside of the universe, that's outside of the ring. We don't know yet. Or if there's vehicles of shows that the wrestlers themselves might host. We don't know about that yet. But for the next year, it's transition. And let's see how many people really go on the Netflix. But the positioning right now that we see at the most part that Netflix is focusing on and Triple H has been focusing on is an international audience. So it's pretty obvious that they're going to look at that as their focus. We're never going to find out what those audience numbers on Netflix are because they keep it proprietary. They don't give that information out. I mean, remember, the actors and producers and all and the writers, to even get that kind of information available out there, which they needed to be able to go ahead and evaluate how much they should be getting or getting bonuses on the content that they write or they perform in, that Netflix was kind of budging and not wanting to give out details of the analytics. They don't want to give that out. They don't want to give that out. And it's only if they want to go and do something. If it's any good, they'll announce it. But we're not going to get weekly ratings from them. Keep that in mind too. So we'll have to figure out how they're doing so far when it comes to their audience and how they do. Plus, if it's going to be something where weekly they have the program out there, how well it streams and how well it does. Look, for Max, they put a lot of sports programming over there. They have a lot of sports over there. So they're doing just fine if they want to go and put up programming. Most other streamers would do really well, right? If I look at Paramount Plus, they do a great job, right? If they do Amazon Prime, fantastic. I watch NFL football on Thursdays. It's awesome. Great for them. But what happens next? But yeah, how about that? In the announcements, we learned that the programming is going to be run like it's run on regular television, like it would be under FCC ruling. They're not going to do it. They're going to go ahead and just keep quiet about it. They're going to let it continue to go along where if the crowds are going on and they're starting to say anything profane that can be heard on the microphones, then they're going to go ahead and censor it. And the content's still going to be TVPG. So for anybody that thought that was going to be changed, they're not doing that. And because they're trying to reach out to such a large audience, they're not going to change anything about it. Again, Bala Baharia says, we do love the multi-generational fan base. We're not trying to alienate everybody either. And here's more from Triple H. He says that, quote, I think it's what you want and expect out of the WWE. It's not pushing anybody away from what they want. It's a safe place for families, for kids, for everybody to be able to view the programming. That will not change. Now, Alfred Kanua writes on Forbes, talking about the broadcast of Raw this past Monday night, that it was the perfect example of WWE succeeding in spite of the family-friendly railing, because the Raw Survivor Series, they had CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Sami Zayn confronting each other, weaving no less than a decade of WWE storylines into one powerful segment, they say. The show becoming more harrowing with the heartbreaking realignment of the New Day, and Raw with a surprise appearance from Drew McIntyre, heavy on emotion, light on obscenity, and the product, according to Alfred here, is more mature than ever in its pursuit of appealing to parents and children. Cursing is easy. Half-naked women wrestling for no reason is easy. Blood and guts are easy, but being edgy for the sake of being edgy is a short-term road to long-term problems. CM Punk spoke with Jimmy Trina in an interview with Sports Illustrated. He said, quote, I don't want people to use Netflix as a crutch to say the F word. I feel that's immediately where everybody goes. We're going to get the swear. No, if everybody swears, it doesn't mean anything. If everybody's throwing the bird, it doesn't mean anything. If every show someone is bleeding and they're falling off a building, that doesn't mean anything. The one thing that excites me about Netflix is what should excite everybody about Netflix. We're going to be seen by billions more people. Billions more people. Can somebody tell Phil Brooks there's only 6.5 billion people on the planet? If he thinks everybody in India is going to watch, it goes 1 billion. Okay. Billions with his ass. No. Okay. I get it. I think what's going to happen is you're going to actually have that combined comprehensive audience watching. But here's the other part. If those folks decide to go and get on social media, as I said already, what about new audiences? There's the other part we got to talk about as well. So they're talking about the audiences already existing, which is kind of interesting. We're not talking about new fans. We're not talking about anything that's going to grow the fan base. I didn't see one thing saying anything about growing the fan base. Isn't that interesting? I found it very, very interesting. I thought that would be something that would be quite important. That they would find a way to go ahead and make Netflix a gateway to bring in new fans. I'm kind of baffled by the fact they said that. Now, Bianca Belair talked to Alfred Kanua and talked about the fact of Netflix that, quote, I think it's going to do a great job integrating the wrestling fan base with the Netflix fan base. Okay. And this is the part I'm talking about. Quote, I'm super excited to be able to capitalize on that huge audience. People scroll through Netflix all the time, see something they're not familiar with, and they decide to watch it. I do it all the time. So I'm excited for the fans who have Netflix on, see the WWE, don't know much about it. It's an opportunity for integration. Bianca, you're absolutely right. And I appreciate you saying that. That's why you're smart. That's why you're talented. That's why who you are. Okay. You're great. You're not being used well enough right now. I'm just saying you were made a bona fide star a couple of years over 2 WrestleManias. No doubt about it. I don't know why you don't get used out there and you're not much more in the front of the line right now when it comes to the women's division. I don't understand it. But she makes a great point here. Integration. Where is what Where's the commentary? Where is everything being said right now when it comes to seeing what will happen with Raw going to Netflix and integrating the Netflix audience into it? They shouldn't just have to have like something that will just say, okay, well, it'll just drop into the feed and somebody will just go after it. No, maybe put a little promotion out there that will actually kind of draw some interest. I don't know, something, not just a teaser. Let's make sure that WWE out of the Netflix deal, not just the fact that you're going to go ahead and coalesce the entire international audience for this show. Okay. That's great. But let's get more viewers into this. And for more than anything, make sure that the content's damn good. Because more than anything, we don't need to have the same bullshit we've been going on for years. Where it's on USA or it's been on Fox. Okay. And the fans just can't help themselves. I actually like the fact that the fans were a punchline at this event for Netflix headquarters. WWE really didn't take too much into the real toxic fan base. They said, oh, there's the fans that thought they were going to go ahead and we're going to get expletives and all this stuff. No. And I'm not surprised they're not going to do that. I'm not surprised by that. It's not good business for them. This is where we have a bubble of fans that don't realize what they're talking about. When they hear that they think that they know right about everything. When it comes to storylines, when it comes to content, when it comes to everything. They think they know everything that should go right. No, they don't. You are not paid millions of dollars to know what they're doing, okay? It's not my fault that the toxic wrestling fandom does not trust the company to be able to make some good decisions. Now, some of their decisions when it comes to the TV product, yeah, I can criticize that. But that's a pretty well-run company. Even TKO Group Holdings and what they're doing with that, there's quite a bit with it. But one thing I will say is that as any corporation there is, they do some things that are a little bit grossly nefarious. A little bit nefarious in my opinion. One of the things I noticed that was really big to me and I thought was quite interesting and quite telling of what they're doing. So I was looking over at Sean Patrick Kelly and he put out a message on X, quote, as predicted, WWE is selling 500 little seats for Elimination Chamber. Now, Elimination Chamber, and I'm trying to see where we are here, where this is being held at. Oh, Rogers Center in Toronto. There we go. So the lower bowl, okay, like club seats, something like that, that there's the upper tier, there's ground level, there's first level, second level. First level right now, they're showing tickets at $200 Canadian. So you might be sitting, again, up in the club level section, watching in the Rogers Center, and they got $200 for those tickets. You're going to be looking pretty far away. You might be able to watch it on a big screen over there, but like $200 for that, it is pretty high. Dave Meltzer responds back to this and says, quote, you do realize that if people buy them at that price, they aren't overpriced. And if they don't, then the price will come down. Here's reality. TKO's top goal is to maximize profits. Nobody forces a consumer to buy tickets to anything. If people are willing to pay, it's not overpriced. That's just the reality of how popular a major WWE event is. Right. I understand. But I mean, there's another thing to be said, Dave, about making people go ahead and buy those tickets. So here's the thing too. You also have to consider the fact that people are looking at most likely trying to do something where you have fans from all over the world that will go to these events. Actually, there's crowds that go watch events that are in Toronto or in Vancouver or wherever in Canada they are. And to have them go ahead and, fork out $200. Like it's one thing to be the audience that's out there that'll pay $5,000 for seats at Intuit Dome for Netflix's debut. That's a lot of money for Monday Night Raw. But of course, there's people that are going to pay for that. But that's a lot of money, plus the merch and plus other things they're going to be paying for. That's quite a bit for an experience. I mean, listen, there's concerts and there's sporting events that don't even cost that much. So that's the part you got to think about too. I mean, yeah, special event, certain things, but like, man, that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money they're asking for. $226. There's one they have here, Section 236. That's like almost $300 American right now, because the Canadian dollar's dropped around like 85 cents or something like that now, compared to 85 cents to the dollar right now, something like that. I don't know exactly what it is, but like it's quite a bit. And I know that the price is going to go down lower. The Canadian dollar is going to drop some more. Like, imagine how much that's going to be in American dollars. They're going to buy that. That's a lot of money. That's pretty. It's severe. It used to be that WWE, like a ticket for a wrestling show, would be a little bit more affordable. And WWE right now, obviously, yeah. If TKO Group Holdings wants to go ahead and put that much money out there and try to get as much as they can, I get it. Like, they want to make the money back. I mean, it's, as a good company, like we would. But yeah, damn, that's like pretty rough, man. I don't know. I'm a little bit concerned about that. Among the other things that I'm concerned about, but what can I say, right? And one of the other things that I was looking at also that I saw on social media, but this is only a couple days ago too. There's a page for at We Want Cody _ makes the point of that Cody Rhodes defended the undisputed WWE Championship after Raw on Monday night. And he defeated Solo Sikoa in a dark match. And for those of you who didn't know, that Solo Sikoa has faced him 20 times. He's lost them all. That's a lot of things where, like, you know, if you're at the house shows and Solo Sikoa just gets beat up every time. I mean, I don't know if you want to go and have that to be the regular match, but like Cody Rhodes comes out, has the match, Solo loses every time. I don't know if that's a good thing where it's like, okay, it's predictable. Like, Cody's going to win. If you're just happy to go and do the chant and, you know, see him out there for like 5, 10, 50 minutes and that's it, and move along, if that's what you want to go and pay. Some of these people are paying, what, $500,000 for the front row and whatever. It's like, you know, part of that too. But yeah, some other things I saw on here on X that I thought were kind of interesting that kind of takes away just of where the toxicity is. And for some people that might just be right in the middle on the fence, that's like myself. There's Dem Wrestling that wrote, AEW is so good that when you don't have hundreds of whining nerds that watch an unhealthy amount of wrestling weekly, telling you it's not. That's one comment there. But again, that's pretty extreme to the AEW side. And there was talk about Eric Bischoff. Everybody got all up and down at it about it because Eric Bischoff was at NXT. Well, but he's doing other shows. Hell, he's doing the one-shot show for MLW coming up. I haven't watched the show yet, but he did that too. So, like, this is nothing new. Then in the comments that Effie from GCW has made about Tony Khan and his father that got Ricky Starks pulled from GCW because Tony Khan he called Tony Khan a Nepo baby who worked for the first time in his life last year. Effie decided to double down on the comments. I'm sure there are some fans that will probably be happy about this because of the toxic WWE fandom. They're all happy about this because anybody going after Tony Khan, that's all wonderful. So Effie decides to say, okay, well, I would like to say also that I don't think that Tony Khan has ever been the best person that interviewed for a job, and that's why he got it. I think he's been given a lot of positions in companies his father owns. I think he's been given a lot of fluff PR positions. I do not think he was the best ever to be the best technical person for any of the jobs he has listed. I think the first time he ever actually did any real work was firing CM Punk, which is why it was so emotionally exhausting for him. Game Changer Weekly put this out. And there's so much toxic commentary after this, which I'm not even going to go ahead and bother with. Like, if I'm going to talk about any of this commentary at all, I guess I could just take mine because I got some on the YouTube, on some of my YouTube videos. So my content always available on YouTube. And yeah, I got some commentary that came up. Oh, whatever. That's fine. So let's go and take what was being put out to me this week. I got a few. Alexander Montejo 447 writes 30 minutes of an L. Take it from a viewer who was in the minority. An L take. And that was my Wednesday show he commented on. Another one about my Survivor Series recap. This is 96 Mr. Jones says, quote, I just found a ninny for Brian Last and Jim Cornette to laugh at. I'm supposed to be offended by that? Look, Jim Cornette, he rubs a lot of people wrong the way. Listen, great manager of Midnight Express. I enjoyed him. I enjoyed my commentary. A lot of those NWA stuff. But, you know, come on. kind of in a different boat now. I'm not really too much about it. Anyway, it's fine. Whatever. Tony Khan was on the Battleground podcast and talking about the impact of online criticism on the company's creative direction. So he's not afraid to go and go out there. And I mean, yeah, stoking the flames, adding more kindling to the fire, you know, like taking a dirt flame into already building fire and just making it grow a little bit more. I mean, Tony, I understand you're doing it, but man, you don't need to go ahead and pay any lip service to any of these people out here, the fans. Just do what you're going to do. Okay. Because honestly, I almost feel like this is taking away from you being able to go and take more time for more important things, like trying to go ahead and get the show back on track, because there's just a few things that are just not working right now. And we'll get into that in just a moment. Like I said, I did a Survivor Series recap. I made my comments there. Go look for it. kingofpodcasts.com. You can find that. And as for what's going on with Raw and Dynamite this week, we'll talk about that in a moment. We'll take some of that. But first of all, he asked about whether fan feedback influences the creative process. Okay, great question. Quote, he emphasized the importance of engaging with fans while maintaining respect for the wrestling tradition. Quote, we absolutely look to the wrestling fans, and we're always looking to find ways to make new fans, but we're doing so in a way that's respectful to wrestling. And he talked about the social media personality Big Boom AJ as an example of AEW's successful efforts to attract new viewers while delivering compelling content for longtime wrestling fans. He highlighted the positive impact of the collaboration of the AEW live event and pay-per-view metrics. That Full Gear had 10,000 fans plus at the show. Huge interest in Big Boom AJ has come back to the ring. His match versus QT Marshall. And we move along from that. He says that there is an importance to fan feedback. And his comments suggest that AEW remains committed to its creative vision. The recent efforts to integrate social media personalities and attract new audiences indicates a willingness to experiment and evolve while maintaining a focus on delivering quality wrestling content. So that's what he said there. And the thing is that, okay, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily engage with the fans. I would still follow along and follow what's being said about it. Like the one thing I will say is that if you want an immediate test subject of the audience, you want to go ahead and get like a focus group on how the shows are doing, then yeah, go right ahead. Go ahead and, at least read in there. Read the shit they're saying about you. I wouldn't say, Tony, you should do that. Tony, you should have somebody on board to actually go ahead and point it out to you and say, hey, Tony, they said this, if it's important to say. So if there's a particular podcaster that says something, you know what? Ignore it. Just move along. Because there are certain podcasters out there. Okay, let me say this also to my fellow podcast wrestling brethren. Because the fandom's going to do what they're going to do. Okay, that's the other part. All right, talking about stoking the flames, kindling the fires. Let me say this as well. For those of my fellow podcast wrestling brethren, for those in the wrestling media, for those that you guys, all of you that decide to go ahead and engage with this toxic wrestling fandom, whether they're part of your fan base, following along with your content, okay? It's one thing to go ahead and feed them whatever your commentary is, because that's your opinion. That's fine. Your opinion, editorial, your commentators. You're not news people. You're not journalists. Fine. Some of you are supposed to be journalists, but you also have a take. You want to have your own take that goes along with it. That's fine too. But you do understand that you have something where you can also kind of make sure to keep the fans under expectations, okay? Because you think that what you say on your various platforms, your bully pulpits, let's call it what they are, bully pulpits. You think that you're using those bully pulpits right now, and you think, oh, if you say something wrong about a particular company, whether it's WWE or AEW, which of course AEW is getting more of the flack, but I understand, whatever. You think that, oh, because what you're saying about AEW, people are going to be leaving. Oh, and then everybody complains about the 530,000 viewers, but yes, the West Coast did not air Dynamite Live last week. We'll see if it changes this week. Fine. Regardless, you think that the audience is going to make that much of a difference? You think that your audience, that the fan base that you have listening to your content or reading your content, you think they're so influential that they're going to change everybody else to go ahead and stop watching like it's a boycott? If you boycotted them, I don't think it will make a dent. Very little. keep in mind, you might feel like you have a vocal style majority voice. You're still in the minority. You're not that big in the pond, okay? You do not represent all wrestling fans. You don't. At least I like to think that I'm trying to go ahead and speak for everybody that just wants to be able to enjoy wrestling without all this other toxic shit going on a regular basis. I think we can actually get to a point where we can come to ground on that. The only way it's going to be done is by getting the product better. As soon as we get that, I think things will be much better. Okay. A couple of things I want to go and bring up that we did see on TV this week that, okay, we can bring it up now. Some of the stuff that was being done for trying to get some big moments out of what happened this week on TV, right? I mean, there's the part of that. We could talk about what happened there and what happened this week that got everybody's interest, because there were a few things on Raw this week that obviously everybody talked about. Yes, there were definitely some newsworthy storylines that started up and some things that actually happened, sure. But, I mean, for me, it's going to be part of the fact that, was it any good? I guess that's the part I want to go and be able to find out if it was any good or not. I guess that's part of it that I'd like to go and find out how people feel about that. The most important thing, obviously, was the New Day and the 10th anniversary of their group. And for whatever reason, Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston decided to turn on Big E. And the way they did it. Anyway, I'll play it back real quick. Let's just take a listen, because I don't necessarily think that the direction of this and how we're supposed to go, it's pretty obvious, the predictability that Xavier Woods was going to be one that was going to be the odd man out and turn heel. How they able to go and make it to where, oh no, we're going to make it where Kofi's going to fall on with Xavier Woods. The swerve, for the sake of the swerve. Anyway, here's what they said.
Stone Cold Steve Austin broke his neck, and he came back. Kurt Angle broke his neck, and he came back. Edge broke his neck, and he came back.
They didn't even have people here waiting for them. You had two family members who had the light on for you so you'd have something familiar to walk back into. And what'd you do with that, E, huh? Nothing. We didn't change. We didn't evolve at our own deficit for you.
No. E, you mean to tell me that as big as you are, as strong as you are, plus with the fact that you never even had to have surgery on your neck, you mean to tell me that you couldn't have been back here a long time ago if you wanted to?
I've been meeting with doctors, I've been doing scans, I've been x-rays, MRIs, I've been doing my best to get back.
We've heard it all before. You know what happened to me, E? I tore my Achilles tendon off the bone, and I actually had to have surgery. I was back in 9 months for you.
If you really, truly cared about us, you'd have been back here a long time ago. You'd have been by our side, clapping by our side, encouraging us, cheering us on, galvanizing us. But nah, you chose your new life over us. You chose your new projects over us. You chose your new girlfriend over us. You chose your new death job over us.
Matter of fact, E, listen up. Do you even realize the burden that you've become? No matter where we go, every single city, no matter who we meet, they all say the same thing. We miss E.
Now, the thing is, we go on to this and the logic behind why they're doing this. I mean, listen, I'm not going to dispute the fact they could go ahead and do this storyline and it would have been fine, but the follow through. I mean, what's the reason? What's this going to lead to? Like, is this just a one-off and Big E's like excommunicated? Okay. This doesn't go to a match. Like Big E, we don't know if he's coming back or not right now. I mean, have we heard anything that he's going to be any kind of story that he's going to be able to go and be cleared to go and wrestle again? Is that the reason why they're doing this? No, if and maybe I will take my words back. If Big E is coming back, and this storyline is being planted right now, the seeds are being planted here that they have abandoned him, and Xavier and Kofi now go on as a heel tag team. Okay, all right. It's definitely a change they need. I agree with that. But with Big E being left out, what's happening next? Like, are we getting anything where Big E's going to have a partner? I heard that's on Vince Russo and Legion Raw. Yeah, where's the partner that Big E's going to have to go ahead and go up against these guys? We could have a great program with this. I would love that. You know, I mean, think about it. Imagine if we had something like, okay, he's like looking for somebody to go ahead and help work with him on this. Say if he got Braun Breaker, if he got somebody else to go and like help him out and be that partner to work with him so he can go ahead and go back after the New Day. That sounds like a good storyline to me, but we don't have that right now. There's no retribution for Big E. I mean, he just got let go. He's not going to get hurt. He didn't get attacked, right? So there's part of that. Okay. And what else more is there to go and talk about when it comes to this? There was also some commentary about Gunther going up against CM Punk, or something against Dirty Dom, and why Dirty Dom gets another match here to go up against Gunther. And now we know that Finn Balor is going to go in and take on Gunther at Saturday Night's Main Event. Anyways.
Dom refusing to go quietly into the night, giving it everything he's got against the World Heavyweight Champion. And that is what you get in return. Sleeper's locked in. Referee got crunched in.
That's the part where why Gunther was being made weak in the match, which is also another part we don't get.
Back to his old trick, 619 to the gut.
And then Dominic almost was given the chance to win the title. Like, I don't know about that.
Now a drop kick, and he's got him set up again for a 619.
Right to the kiss.
Maybe if it was down the line where Dom wasn't part of the Judgment Day, but as far as he's part of the Judgment Day, I don't necessarily. I mean, you know, he's not been to push in that main part. But yeah, they gave him an ear fall. There you go. There's that part. There's an interesting fact right now from WrestleNomics that said that over 2 million viewers did catch the first segment of Raw with CM Punk confronting Seth Rollins, Jey Uso, and Sami Zayn. And taking what we had from that, we can go ahead and talk about that, and we can go ahead and play that back real quick, because I want to go ahead and kind of break down what they did there and what they decided to go and go with in that. Let's go ahead and play that back real quick.
The Royal Rumble's right around the corner. Maybe that's the road I take. After that, it's Elimination Chamber. Perhaps that's the fork in the road I choose. Any road I take winds up being a dead end. The good news is I got a favor or two in my pocket I can call upon to get where I need to go.
I'm still trying to figure out.
I invite all of you to come on this journey with me.
He did go after and confront Gunther, right? Or he was going to see he was going to go after Gunther or whoever's World Heavyweight Champion. So I don't know where they're going with it, where CM Punk's direction is going in the WrestleMania season anyway, but that's the part I didn't understand and I wanted to get a part of. So anyway, Seth Rollins and CM Punk confronting each other.
You know, I've been thinking a lot. I really should have knocked your ass out the same day you came back to WWE.
Which is why I also don't like the fact we're getting this storyline here. But the reason why is because Bronson Reed's hurt.
And I regret that every single day for the past year.
Then I have to reheat this because Bronson Reed's hurt. And then we'll be back. We won't be back for a while because of the table spot. The table spot that, you know, Bronson Reed decided to go and do at Survivor Series War Games, the same one that Edge did in his cage match with Christian Cage. Yeah, same kind of injury. And, you know, why are we still doing that right now? Especially Bronson Reed, 300, 400 pounds, going up there to the top. And, you know, he's not going to be able to break the fall with that. It's like, what were you expecting going to happen when that happens there? I don't know. But like I said, they were really going to continue to go with Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed. They're not now. which who knows how long that would have gone for. Because, of course, these storylines can go for longer than normal. We already know that. Reference CM Punk and Drew McIntyre just for that. Anyway, back to Seth Rollins here. They're adding him into the mix. And the other part is I don't care for Sami Zayn to come into this mix. But anyway, which way? Did you just give me Seth Rollins and CM Punk right now and give me a storyline for that match? Okay, we're getting somewhere.
A lot has gotten in the way. You got hurt. I had titles to defend. I had a bloodline to take down.
So many things they could have done where they cut right to Seth Rollins and CM Punk, but they didn't.
And the last time I saw you, I was this close. I was this close to taking my shot. But I had pity for you. You just come out of Hell in a Cell with Drew McIntyre. You were hanging on by a thread. And I had pity for you. And that was my mistake. After Saturday, seeing you stand there, triumphant next to Roman Reigns, it became very clear to me that it was time to rectify my mistakes.
But see, now we're trying to rectify the storyline because this should have been handled when CM Punk came back in. It's where it should have gone in the first place.
And as we stand...
And remember, there was the part where Seth Rollins was added as a guest referee in that CM Punk Drew McIntyre match, which sucked. And they dragged him in that, took him out, and then the whole Bronson Reed stuff happened.
In my way, nothing in your way, no one holding us back. The only things between us are air and hatred, and I've got a feeling in my gut that tonight is the night I knock CM Punk on his ass.
Anyways.
You talk too much and you don't listen enough. I just came out here and I said I put all the personal stuff aside. I'm long past running races with people that I didn't even know I was running. All right? 6 months ago, you were a champ. You had something I wanted. Now you got nothing. I know where I'm going. I know what's in my future, and kid, you ain't it. You've been thinking about me for 6 months? I don't think about you at all.
Good. Let's stir this match up here. Let's get the feud going.
I got
this is the one I want
to do in this business. So stay out of my business.
We're going to just stop the segment here. Honestly, we didn't have to go past
this. You talk too much, and you don't listen enough. This is my business.
This thing boiling over as he said time to... Zayn.
Now, here's the part that is where things just didn't go right. Sami Zayn protecting Jey Uso, who came out to break up CM Punk and Seth Rollins in the ring. Listen, everything leading up with CM Punk, Seth Rollins, listen, they want to go ahead and kind of retcon this match, get it back up and stir it up again. Wonderful. Wonderful. You want to give me that match? You want to give me that feud right now? I'm all in for it. That's the kind of stuff I want. Then they do this stuff with Sami Zayn, because he has to be added into the storyline, and the whole thing with Jey Uso. This is the part I don't get. And let's just play it.
Holding both men back.
I agree with this audience. Let them fight.
And look at how much Sami Zayn has to go and do to kind of validate his appearance out here in the first place.
Adam Pearce, WWE officials.
Jay, run along to Roman, y'all.
So Seth is pissing everybody off, fine. And here's Sami Zayn cutting in.
What? Hey, I get that you're angry. You don't get to talk to Jey Uso that way.
I am tired of Sami Zayn playing hall monitor. He did this going on when it came to protecting Alpha Academy. That shit. And it's like, we move along into him playing hall monitor, has to go jump in here, and then jump into the bloodline once again. Did we ask him to come back into this? But this is the thing. They put him in this, and also he has to protect Jey Uso. It is off-putting. It's a little too much. It's a little too involved. So Sami Zayn had to go ahead and validate his spot here. It's not organic, and it feels pushed, and it feels like he's being shoved into this. Now the crowd's all happy about him.
You know what,
okay.
Sammy? You're right, man. You're right. You're right. Jay, hey, it's Roman, their family. I get all that. My bad. I shouldn't have gone there. I'm a little pissed off. But Jay's family, what's your excuse? Because you're not family, man.
I hate the Sami Uso chants. I hate him.
Yo, Sami Uso. I love Sami Uso. But if you're family with Roman, then you gotta be family with me. You and I, we're closer than you and Roman or you and Jay have ever been. We came up in this business together.
I'm glad that Seth Rollins moved along. In the house show environment that we have right now, he's understanding we got a TV audience to take care of. So I'm glad he's moving along with that. And actually, that was the best part about the segment anyway, is the fact that they were moving along, that the audience right now, they're not the important part. You are the backdrop, okay? Just because you want to go ahead and chant, it's fine. But let's get into what we need to go and talk about. So I'm glad that Seth Rollins was trying to go ahead and move along things. That was very smart.
We've been at it up and down these roads for over 20 years together. We're family too. And you stabbed me in the back when you teamed with CM Punk, man.
Hey, let me remind you something, okay? I didn't ask to team with CM Punk, okay? Do you think I wanted him as my tag team partner in War Games? I didn't. But he was willing to help, and we were down and man, and I was willing to take it. I didn't want him. I wanted you.
All right, fine.
I asked you, in fact, let me remind you, I asked you twice,
this
and you said no
part that they did right here, of course, I know they're putting it together. I just don't like it. I just don't like this part. I don't like where Sami Zayn's going to be added to this. Let's keep him out of this. I know he's part of the whole deal here, but like, this is the part, okay. You justify the fact that Sami Zayn, obviously because of his attachment to the Bloodline storyline, to bring him back there. Fans are happy about that. But he's being shoved in.
My mind here? Maybe you can remind me, Sammy,
and then Seth Rollins trying to deal with CM Punk and trying to go and add these extra parts here is still too much. But anyways,
to team with you for? Oh, that's right. It's to help Roman Reigns. To help that monster regain his power.
Hey, let me remind you something else. That monster, Roman Reigns, you created that monster.
now this is going back. I know they want to use the Shield thing, but this is kind of stretching it out, man. If this was this is the case, Seth. Sammy. If we're going to go to that part of the storyline and say, okay, we're going to go back to the chair shot. If we're going to go back to the chair shot of 2014, then you have to go ahead and say, well, then where did Seth Rollins get a chance to avenge Roman Reigns? We never got the feud. So Seth Rollins being dropped back into this main event feud, now with CM Punk, and now being embedded here with Sami Zayn, why wasn't he part of this in the first place? Why was he left out? I mean, yeah, part of the injury, I'm sure, but you put him with Bronson Reed, and the only reason he's back in here now is because Bronson Reed's hurt. I guarantee you, if Bronson Reed did not get hurt at War Games, their feud would have continued. All right? Because that was the whole idea of this in the first place. But now Seth Rollins is here, and I don't know if it was going to be ever brought back in where he's going to go up against CM Punk. I don't know. But give me just CM Punk and Seth Rollins. Just deal with that. If you're going to do that, that's fine. If you were going to have Seth Rollins, we don't need Sami Zayn to come in here and start getting in the face of Seth Rollins and the whole deal of the War Games match. No. Seth Rollins needs to have his match with Roman Reigns, have his feud. Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns are the story there. We don't need Sami Zayn to come in here and explain it. this is, this is kind of, you're putting in the booking that just needs to be with the people involved, the principals. And you think that the supporting actress that the fans want, you're wedging them in. We don't need him in there. But that's what they decided they're going to do. I don't like it. I thought it was too much of that. And it was 5 extra minutes we didn't need the segment. Could move on to something else. But anyways, now Sami Zayn gets attacked by Drew McIntyre, so I guess there's this whole circle of 6 degrees of separation that they're doing right now. So okay, fine, we got that too. Okay. Where Sami Zayn's being used and how he's being used, I don't like it. I wish he had his own feuds to worry about, not be like the middle person and all this other shit. Because it doesn't make a main event. It doesn't make him a main event player. And you put him in their main event, it's like, okay, look, you put him against Gunther, you put him against, Alpha Academy. You had him in storylines. Fine. Does he need to be main event angles? I don't know. No. 7-main event? Yes. Going up against the IC champion or whatever. Or getting it into his own main event thing, but have his own main event thing. Make it his own. That's what the part I want. It's the part where, so you got to make sure that the fans get what they want in certain storylines. So they're going to have to embed Sami Zayn into there because they think he's such a draw. Okay, fine. But CM Punk and Seth Rollins confronting each other, that was a 2 million viewers. Let's just be clear about that. The confrontation between those two, that first 10 minutes, that was CM Punk and Seth Rollins. That was it. We didn't need to go along and add the extra part with Sami Zayn and the whole bloodline thing right there. No. Seth Rollins has storylines. He has angles he can go after, right? And he has programs he can work. The fact that they wanted to go and put him against Bronson Reed or put him against somebody else, whatever. No. Let Seth Rollins deal with Roman Reigns. Can we just go to... But the thing is now, Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns are both faces. So you couldn't do it now. After Roman Reigns comes back as a face, Seth Rollins has to turn heel, I guess. Maybe that's what happens here. Seth Rollins somehow, CM Punk, Seth Rollins becomes the heel in this. And then Seth Rollins will then go get after Roman Reigns, however it works. But, why was it that Solo Sikoa wanted to get Sami Zayn as part of their team? When Solo Sikoa should have recruited Seth Rollins in the match. That would have made more sense to me. Maybe I'm wrong here. I don't know. But that's what we got off of that. Now, one thing we got to go and say that is very big and wonderful and see right now for the folks at TNA. I want to go ahead and give the shout out to them because they are the ones right now going into the new year and having some of the best things going on. Oh, I should also mention that Dynamite, Collision, and Ring of Honor's Final Battle will all be at the Hammerstein Ballroom. And it's December 22nd to 24th? I think that's what I read. So 3 nights, Hammerstein Ballroom. Cool. Okay. Yeah. If you need to go and have an arena that they can fill up pretty easily, 1,200 people. Yeah, it shouldn't be a problem for AEW to have that. And we're 3 nights in New York. That sounds fun. Sounds like a good idea. Now, so TNA, let's go and talk about it. They're going to be hosting Rebellion coming up at the Gillen Center in Los Angeles. It's home to the UFC Trojans basketball team. And Ring of Honor is actually hosted there as well. So, awesome. 4,000 seated arena, or it should be about 4,000 or 5,000 seats for that. And they're also going to be having their Summerversary pay-per-view at the UBS Arena in Belmont Park, New York. So, first major arena they'll be going to is held AEW's Forbidden Door, Raw for WWE, UFC Fight Night, and several episodes of Dynamite. So, pretty big place. UBS Arena, Belmont Park, New York, for Slammiversary next year. We're going to be in LA and New York for events. That's awesome. Good for them. Congratulations to them. I hope they do really well. Tickets on sale on December 20th and pre-sale start December 18th. So there you go. TNA on the front part of that. That's wonderful. We're going to see that for them. And so next week, we're going to find out what the build-up is going to be leading up to Saturday night's event. And then we go ahead and lead the World's End and what Ring of Honor's Final Battle is going to be, all that stuff. So, a lot of things to go ahead and look into and enjoy. So anyway, I thought I was going to get the best of Year Wrestling 2024. We haven't started yet because there's too much still going on right now. We'll get to it soon enough. Maybe it'll be 1 or 2 episodes. We'll find out. Anyway, come back next week for another Wrestling with Your podcast because wrestling needs us.